What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Crunch Time here on this Saturday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are situated. I am Britt Devine, joined by my man, Mr. Agents of Fandom, TJ himself. TJ doing the Lord's work for the dogs, fostering a new puppy. Any story involving puppies coming to the house or anything with dogs, I give 2 thumbs up, TJ. So, big ups for fostering a dog for a little while.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we were excited for it. Kind of happened quick out of the blue. This is our 4th time fostering, and last time we ended up keeping him. That was Obi-Wan. So we ended up fostering a baby big dog this time. We know we won't hold on to this one, but his name is Hermes. He's very sweet. We just kind of, as a family, got some bad news recently that I won't go into, but it kind of helps to have a little baby puppy running around the house to bring some smiles. But that's been a joy. And then, of course, my guy Dre couldn't make it for some NBA Crunch Time today. So not only do I get some puppy hangs today, I get to talk some basketball as well. So it's a good day.
Yeah, let's. I've got, there are some games, some interesting. I've got a bunch of sports bets. Maybe I can talk about those too. But I always like to start these off by going over the injury news. And we did get just before the show started. If you guys, I don't think anyone's playing some of these Chicago players, Andre Drummond or Ao. They are both ruled out for tonight. How do you think does that change anything for you with a guy like, there's no Drummond, right? It's Vucevic against Embiid. Is Vuk going to get some extra run? I'm hoping not, because I bet a couple of his unders on the sports book today. But with that news, maybe I saw our minutes projections were at 30. Maybe he bumps up a little bit. Do you have anything to take away from that regarding the Bulls starters?
I like a Zach LaVine and Joel Embiid mini stack in this one, but nothing really in terms of huge impacts for me. Somebody like Io out that solidifies the LaVine, Caruso, and White minutes a little bit, but I think LaVine would be my only target. Maybe Vooch because he has his minutes a little bit more solidified here, but going up against Embiid, I don't think I really want to play too much Vucevic anyways. So to me, this is more of a Embiid on one side and LaVine on the other side type of game. But it is interesting to note with all of Drummond and Embiid's history that Drummond happens to be out for this one going back against Philly.
And then the only other injury news I think we're really waiting on is Conchar for Memphis. Memphis is already down. They're down Ja. What do you have a take? Do you think he plays? Do you think he doesn't? I think it's a 9:00 game. And if you are playing him, I know he's popping in a couple, I think at least in our FanDuel optimal right now. If you do play him and he, 7:30, 8:00 rolls around, there's not really a lot of options in his price range today. So what are you thinking on him currently?
Yeah, so he's not somebody that I'm really going out of my way to target. Having said that, I do basically plan to have a game stack of this Memphis-Utah game. Obviously, we're going to get some super chalky players there. I'm going to just try and get overweight on the game as a whole. That's kind of my strategy, playing only one lineup today in tournaments. But for me, like the quote-unquote injury news I'm most interested in is more so starting lineups. Who is Memphis going to fully roll out? We're assuming it's just Jones in for Morant and it's normal. But that is the last game of the slate. It's the weekend. Steven Adams tweaked his groin last game, left the game for a bit, returned to the game. Maybe we still see something funky there with also John Conchar questionable. But also, we're still waiting on an Indiana Pacers starting lineup. Miles Turner is out in that game. And so it's probably just going to be Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jackson, but you never know. It could be somebody like Terry Taylor squeaking in there. For me, I think Jackson and Smith are the two most interesting ones. Jackson, as a salary saver for tournaments, not picking very much ownership, I think is pretty interesting. But Smith is one of those borderline cash plays, good in tournaments, good in cash. And so I am still waiting to see that starting lineup just to kind of confirm he's in it, confirm that's the case, and everything is going to look how we expect it to there.
Waiting on the Pacers starting lineup. Just you can say that the entire season, I think, TJ. if they have an injury, you're never really going to be able to know what's coming out there. All right, I'm going to talk some FanDuel cash really quick. The three guys you mentioned, Smith, I've got him on both sites as a player I think is extremely cash viable. Someone I'm locking into both sites, one of the first players into my lineups over there. The other two are a couple of Memphis players' values. So it's going to be Tyus Jones, and then Dylan Brooks is he's more definitely in play on FanDuel. I don't know if you absolutely need him on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, his price tag fits in there. Do you think, in NBA, the key is you always go where the injury news is. You get the value. Do you have anything against any of those guys being foundational pieces for everyone across both sites tonight?
Nope, not at all. I think if there was one player, one of these chalky guys I'd be looking to pivot off of, it'd be Dylan Brooks. Having said that, like Tyus Jones to me is, whether I was playing one lineup or 150 lineups, he would be in all of them. Desmond Bane is my priority number 2 ahead of Dylan Brooks, even though there's that price difference. I think Bane is just kind of another level of a player than Dylan Brooks. Brooks will put up a ton of shots, but if they don't go in, he might not do a whole bunch today. So Brooks would be the one guy I would be looking to leave off, like not necessarily leave off, but just not be my as high of a priority. Whereas Bane, I think, would be kind of a cash game must for me as well as two of the four. Like, this is kind of where it's hard to choose, but like I think you're choosing 2 of the 4 of Embiid, Giannis, Luka, and Trae Young. To me, I think Luka in cash games would be the first one that you'd kind of scratch off there. Giannis would be my priority I'd want to get up to, but if you like your lineup with just Young and Embiid and you're not getting either of those, I think that's kind of reasonable too. So those are the 4 spend ups I'd prioritize in a cash game type setting. I think none of this chalk is bad chalk for tournaments, but somebody like a Jalen Smith and Dylan Brooks, I would be okay with pivoting off that in tournaments just because it's high ownership. Those are both guys that could be kind of prone to foul trouble. And so tournaments, those would be the 2 chalkier ones I'd be looking to pivot off of. I think Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, that's just fantastic chalk.
All right. Looks like our projections at least have been updated for that Chicago news. If you are looking to refresh, just if you're MMEing and you wanted to have the absolute latest projections, go ahead and do that. I'm going to run through real quick FanDuel, the sponsor of the show. Thank you, FanDuel. We appreciate that. If you guys ever want to check out the FanDuel Sportsbook, and if you're in a state that's available, you can do that. You can bet $5 and get $150 in free bets, along with a 3-month pass, the NBA League Pass as well. So if you like watching NBA, FanDuel was allowing you to do that for free this season. Just check their little promotions and you should be able to do that. So point guard, you mentioned Trae Young, definitely one of my favorite spend ups of the night. I'm liking him to have an absolutely big game against Milwaukee here. Think he fits in good with Tyus Jones. You basically min-max the position on FanDuel at the shooting guard spot. If you wanted to spend, I don't hate Kyrie. He's been turning it up a little bit. I found myself going a little bit cheaper, like the Drew Holiday tier. If you wanted, I like Halliburton a little bit. If you want to roll the dice on Conchar, I know he was popping maybe 15 minutes ago in the optimal. I don't hate it. Just know there is some risk in case he doesn't play and you don't get the news. You're going to be scrambling to like a Reggie Bullock, and nobody wants to play Reggie Bullock in their cash game, not even on a single game slate. So just keep that in mind with Conchar. The small forward position, you got a couple different ways you can go. You can spend up on Giannis. You can spend up on Durant. I'm just finding, I guess TJ on FanDuel, I'm on both sites. I'm finding myself with Embiid because he's like a clear cheaper. He's just so much cheaper than Giannis, than Luka. I'm finding myself with him a lot. If you were playing, I know you're not playing cash games tonight. Who's like your preference if you can only fit one of the elite superstar players between Embiid, Giannis, or Luka into a cash game? Who would it be? We'll count Trae Young out of that tier just for this specific instance.
Giannis would be my priority, and then Trae Young's priority too. I think I do understand Young and Embiid just because those two are both below 10K. But for me, my priorities would be Giannis and then Trae Young second in terms of spend up in cash games. The other thing I want to say is if you're going to play John Conchar, like if that's something you're feeling like you want to do, play him in the shooting guard position so that and make sure you have $100 left in your like salary remaining so that if he doesn't play, you can just play Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah, I did like that. Unfortunately, TJ, I could not find the extra $100 in my line. I like the rest of my lineup too much, so I would be pivoting to Reggie Bullock, which would not be great. Real quick, rounding out the position at small forward, you've got the Memphis guys, Brooks and Bain. I think on both sites are perfectly fine. I'm talking FanDuel right now. If you wanted to spend up, I definitely don't mind a guy like Giannis or Durant. I think they're both fine spend ups if you happen to have some extra salary. Power forward, I mentioned Smith. I like him from the Pacers quite a bit. I would definitely try to play him at the power forward position. I do like Embiid quite a bit, so I'm playing Embiid at center. You're basically left in like this dream on green. You can also play Lauri Markkanen if you're maneuvering around for a little bit of salary. I actually think one of the best bets of the night. Now, I'm sorry, FanDuel. This is on DraftKings. It's plus 320 on DraftKings. Is Markkanen for a double-double? It was like plus 200 on FanDuel. I thank FanDuel for sponsoring the show, but I'm going to go get that extra payout for when I hit over on DraftKings. A double-double. He's hit it in half of his games so far this year. And another one was 9 at plus 320. I think that's coming in a little bit too low on Lauri Markkanen. So I really like that as a sports bet tonight. And I also like him maybe a little bit more so on DraftKings, but you can certainly finagle him into a cash lineup on FanDuel. And then I'm playing Embiid. The only other real center I was giving credence to, maybe you can convince me on Vuk at 7,900. Maybe he plays a couple more minutes, but still against Embiid, I'm not that interested in. I'm playing Smith at power forward. I'm not in love with anybody else. I'm rolling Embiid, I think, on both sites at my center position. And then I guess we could talk tournaments, TJ. Is there any specific FanDuel play? And I know the last time we did this show, you were talking more game stacks. What do we have? 6 games tonight, so it's not this giant slate from a game theory perspective. I know you said you were just playing one lineup. It is a lot harder to play a bunch of lineups when you are on the show. How are you approaching that from tonight?
Great question, because I'm changing my mind right now. I just deleted a bunch of entries and I'm adjusting them as we speak. And I'm going to fade this Golden State and Charlotte game and make my lineups after walk. And I'm going to go with 3 lineups instead of 1 because I just don't really feel comfortable missing out on some of these spots. And so the way I'm going to correlate my lineups is in full or mini game stacks, just so that I'm still able to try and get as high of ceilings as possible in each lineup. So Kevin Durant is underpriced. Kyrie Irving has a lot of upside. I also really like Jalen Smith and Tyrese Halliburton. So I might do a Halliburton and Smith with a Durant team and a Halliburton and Smith with an Irving team. Halliburton is one of my favorite tournament plays today in general. I'm not looking to pivot that heavy off of chalk. My way of doing it is just going to be mixing in a couple low-owned players and getting and doing those in mini or full game stacks. So I'm looking specifically at this Indiana and Brooklyn game. I want to wait and see the starting lineup for Indiana, but I like Smith, I like Jackson, I like Halliburton a ton, Hield, Mathurin, the whole squad. I'm kind of into today. And then on the Brooklyn side, he's really just going to be Durant and Irving. Yes, Ben Simmons is fine. I just don't know how much of a ceiling he has. Seth Curry's coming back today. I'm not going to be playing him, but that's just kind of, I think he sets out the fringe pieces on this team, evening out the minutes a little bit. I like the Embiid Levine mini stack, but then outside of that, I'm looking at specifically Luka Doncic, the Atlanta and Milwaukee game, Holiday and Giannis, Portis, Trae Young on the other side, maybe a little DeJounte Murray. And then finally, I love all of these Memphis and Utah guys. I prioritize Memphis in tournaments like Jones 1, Bane number 2, Brooks number 3. And then as long as like we get everything as expected, Aldama 4 and Conchar 5. And then I also really like this Utah side for tournaments because they're not picking up very much ownership at all outside of Lauri Markkanen. I like Olenek. But I also really liked Taylor Horton-Tucker, Jordan Clarkson, and Colin Sexton.
Yeah, I like Clarkson. He's been racking up the blocks and steals for some reason this year. Hasn't really been great at that in his career, but if you add those in on FanDuel, that can really boost a guy like Clarkson, who's already going to be doing quite a bit tonight, in my opinion. So Clarkson would be right coming in at 2 to 3% ownership on FanDuel. That looks like a really great way to get a little bit different tonight. I'm going to jump over to DraftKings. My core is pretty much the same. It's Smith. It's Tyus Jones. You can play Dylan Brooks over there too if you want to throw him in here. I'm just looking through my lineup. The two guys on DraftKings that I'm certainly a little bit more interested based on roster construction compared to FanDuel are Maxey and Lauri Markkanen on DraftKings. Just fits in with what I was doing today. Maxey had that huge game without Embiid. He can still have big games with Embiid. If you had to, this is a question I was trying to figure out before the show, and I'm sure some people will have this. TJ, pretend this is a cash game question. You got Maxey or Draymond Green. I think they're the same price. You can play both of them, but you can choose to just play one of them. Who would you rather roster tonight on DraftKings?
Maxey by a lot.
That extra 3-point bombing can just really have
the ceiling go
nuclear.
Yeah. Exactly. The ceiling is just another level. Their floors are similar, but the ceiling is way higher with Tyrese Maxey. But I also do think the DraftKings build is quite a bit different. There's more value over there, and I think you absolutely have to prioritize Giannis. And then you look at somebody like a Taylor Horton-Tucker, who I think is one of the strongest value plays on DraftKings today, 3,700. I think he's a cash game must. I think he's a tournament still great play. We're looking at probably sub 25% ownership for him, sub 20% maybe. I think he's a must play in cash. I think he's a great play in tournaments as well. And then I still think it's important to wait on this Indiana lineup, because if we happen to get somebody like Goga Bitadze in the starting lineup, then all of a sudden you got a $3,500 Goga you can put in there. And if not, you'll probably have a cheap Isaiah Jackson. That salary could come in handy. That's more tournament than cash. Sorry, I'm getting off track. But in terms of biggest differences, DraftKings to FanDuel, yeah, Maxey, strong play, and I would definitely pick him over Draymond Green. But also, I think Taylor Horton-Tucker has to be a bit of a priority on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I still don't see a Pacers lineup. As soon as it comes out, well, anything with Pacers lineup on Twitter gets posted, I will get an alert for it. If anyone happens to see that, please post that in the Discord or the YouTube. That does start in just a half an hour. Hopefully it comes in so we know what's going to be happening. All right. Do you have any DraftKings specific tournament takes for tonight? You mentioned Horton-Tucker. He's coming in at about 16% ownership based off our projections on DraftKings. It seems like he should be a focal piece, at least in your mind, for people to get a little bit of salary relief, to get a little bit more stars in Scrubsy.
Yeah, absolutely. I like him. Conchar, I think, is a strong play over there as well. Bitadze, if he ends up in the starting lineup. Nikola Vucevic is a tournament play I like quite a bit, 7,600 over there. Zach LaVine is priced a little higher, but I still think that means nobody's going to be getting to him. I think Desmond Bane's coming in under own, as well as basically all of these Utah guys outside of Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen is coming in appropriately owned, but guys like Olenek, I think I'd want to get higher on. And Jared Vanderbilt is another one he's nice and cheap over on DraftKings. And I don't think enough people are getting to him. So with all these people getting to the Memphis side, my way of differentiating in tournaments, it would just be stacking the other side as well and playing both sides of this game.
All right, let's get to a couple of questions. We've got about 10 minutes remaining until lineup lock. I will field them first from the RotoGrinders Discord, and then I will go to the YouTube to get questions from the guys. The first one is from Achilles. Achilles, always in the Crunch Time chat. Thank you for being a RotoGrinder subscriber for a long time, sir. Let's go DraftKings cash. Maxey and Smith or Sexton and Hayward. This one isn't particularly close to me. It's number one by a pretty reasonable margin there, TJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's see here. Yappy Cappy. I see him. He's always in the prop shop. He is down here in Discord today as well. He's getting a ton of THT for his GPP builds. He's doing the mini max with 75 lines. He's got 50%. TJ, that sounds right up your alley.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Let's keep doing that one. Yeah, Yappy Cappy, always in the prop shop. Gregorius.
Let's also hit the like button because we got 164 people watching.
Oh, yeah,
only 19 likes right now. We got to get this up to, it should be 80. It's always good to get half. You know, we're here on a Saturday, some free content sponsored by Fanduel. Hit that like button for us, and you never know when we start giving stuff away. It might be today, may not be today, but hit the like button and it always increases your odds.
All right, let's see here. Gregorius wants to know Maxey and Smith or Sexton and Bain. I'm on Maxey and Smith for that one as well. Why is everyone on Colin Sexton today? Is it just there's really no one else to play and they're expecting him to pick up the
Mike
slack?
Conley's out.
Yeah, he's reasonably. I know Conley's out, but he's reasonably priced. Do you like Sexton, or it seems like you're more on the THT?
I like THT and I like Sexton. I like both of them today. I like Sexton better for tournaments than I do cash, just because I don't know how safe he is, and you do get that big salary savings on THT. But if Sexton lands in your lineup, I'm good with it. He's still the same player from a point per minute standpoint that he always has been. It's just he's only playing 20 minutes a game. But if he plays 30 minutes, like, you're going to be looking at 8x salary on a guy that's 4.8K. So I like him better for tournaments because I think he has a slate breaking ceiling, but I also think he still has a small floor. So I would worry a little bit about him for cash games, but I like him a lot for tournaments.
All right, let's see. Carolina guy, Fanduel, a couple GPP questions for you. Favorite spend up, and then how many studs? So I would count anything Trae Young and above on Fanduel price-wise, probably a stud. So what are those two questions? Favorite spend up and favorite studs. How many studs?
Favorite spend up is Giannis, and I think you need at least two studs today. So Trae Young and above, you're going to need at least two of them. If you're just going Giannis and one, I actually do think it can work if you're getting to the Halliburton and Bain and Levine type guys in there.
Let's see here. Jay Sams wants to know Fanduel tournaments. You can also throw this over to DraftKings too. So we had the Dennis Smith Jr., he was much higher owned last time he played. Disappointed. Has reasonable ownership this time. Is this sort of we go back to him, right? He was cruising before, has a down game when they get blown out. Now they could get blown out tonight. I've actually bet Charlotte with the spread on this particular game. So I think I got it at 11. So it's not that's still a reasonable blowout. But what do you think about Dennis Smith Jr. tonight?
I think he's fine, but I also think that I also think that I'm personally planning on fading the first game completely so I can wait for some of these other starting lineups. So for me, I think he's okay, but I don't know about it. There's a question I want to touch on quick from the YouTube chat because it's an MME related question. Mm-hmm. It's for DK, but it's relevant on FanDuel too. Playing a ton of lineups with two of Bain, Brooks, and Jones in my lineups. Is this an okay strategy? Yes, I was on the expert survey earlier today, and I mentioned that I would be building a rule if I was MMEing. I would have a bare minimum of two of Jones, Bain, and Brooks in every single one of my lineups today.
There you go. He's reading your mind in the questions here. A couple other questions. Achilles, DraftKings Cash. This is a three-piece, and it's pretty interesting. So it's Maxey, Hield, and Embiid. We didn't really talk Buddy Hield too much, but he is certainly – he's either in your cash or right on the fringe. I think Sexton is also one of those players we just talked about. So Maxey, Hield, Embiid, or Brooks, Giannis, and Sexton. So you like Giannis, and I think we could play Brooks and Sexton with Giannis. And the other one's Maxey, Hield, and Embiid. So I think Maxey and Hield probably have a little bit higher floor.
It's the first
Sexton
one for me.
than Brooks, but I think I'm on the first one, but I don't hate the second one. Is sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yappy Cappy. Everyone's talking Sexton for DraftKings Cash. If he's in there, are you cool with it?
Yes, I am.
I think I am. I do not have him in my lineup, though. I wouldn't fault you for playing him, though. just personally not on my team. Let's see. I'm going to the YouTubes real quick. We have ran out of crunch time Discord questions. Let's see here. Ballpen drawing, another one. DraftKings Cash, Sexton and Smith or Clarkson and THT. Which one do you like?
Yeah, so that's tough. Like, that's honestly flip a coin worthy for me. But I think I would probably go with the second one. However, because those
Smith's going to be pretty highly owned.
Smith's going to be highly owned, yeah. But I guess, no, you couldn't do a Smith swap. Like, if you found out Sexton was starting, it's that one for sure. But just based on it being cash, I like the second one better. But I think the smart cash thing to do would be go to the higher owned side for those cash games. And so it would be the first one. However, in terms of just like who I think will score more, I think it'll be the THT Clarkson side.
All right, a couple more. Jay Sams wants to know, this is a question probably directed towards you. He wants to know, everyone's playing the projections tonight. So that's going to be what? Memphis, a couple of the Indiana guys, a couple of the Utah guys that are popular, Sexton, etc. Those guys. You mentioned Vanderbilt. He doesn't project well. He gets those blocks and steals, a tournament play. I'm sure you are on board with that, trying to think a little bit outside the box tonight.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's see here. NBA DFS wants to know, if Jackson starts, is it okay to start him and Smith on Fanduel at the power forward spot?
Yes.
I just can't believe we don't have the starting lineup when it's going to hit right at 7:00 probably, but that's the breaks. I think it is a good idea in cash, right? We're not really targeting. Maybe some people are playing Draymond. I think he can just slide into there's a lot of fringe guys. There's probably a group, one of the bigger I can remember nights of maybe 5 to 6 players that you're sort of jockeying around for your last spot in cash games, probably on both sides. Draymond's in both of those. Do you think maybe foregoing Draymond to have this flexibility to get the Utah lineup, to get the Pacers lineup, to get all that makes a little bit of sense?
I think playing Draymond in cash is a just straight up bad decision today based on the amount of late swap stuff we're waiting for.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, guys. It's something I'm considering currently right now as well. All right, I got a couple afterlock questions. Let's see here. Kevin Looney? No, we're not Kevin Looney. It's not.
If I'm playing anybody in the Charlotte and Golden State game, I'm playing everybody in the Charlotte and Golden State game. Like, that's kind of how I'm running it. I would make a Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Dennis Smith Jr., Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre team before I just played one or two of those guys, because I would rather just go with the game stack and hope this one stays close and goes crazy, or full fade it and have the swap ability for later in the slate.
All right, here's Achilles again. Let's see here. Sexton, Smith, and Giannis. This is DraftKings Cash. So Sexton, Smith, Giannis, or Bane, Clark, and Embiid. It's pretty tough to beat that Bane, Clark, and Embiid for me. I like the Sexton, Smith, Giannis. This one's pretty close to. There's no cash lineup train tonight is basically what I'm getting at. There's going to be a lot of different lineups out there. Which one do you prefer?
I would just make sure I have Giannis in cash. That's priority one for me. That'd be the first player outside, like second player after Tyus Jones I'd put in.
Going for the highest floor, highest ceiling possible player tonight. Yeah, I understand that for sure. All right, back to YouTube. We got about a minute to lock. We'll take a couple of questions after lock as well. Let's see. Brooke Lopez. No, we're not really on Brooke Lopez tonight. Let's see. Don't really see too many other YouTube questions. Don't see a lot of Discord questions as well. So I'm going to take a question from Yappy Cappy. So he's a member of the Prop Shop. If you guys want to join the Prop Shop, I'm always dropping some things in there. Chief is always in there. It is his Prop Shop. And there's just a plethora of knowledge. You can just go to Discord, find RotoGrinders, go to Chief's Prop Shop, and just take part in the community there. And you can get an extreme knowledge of props, and you can relate it to DFS, or like me, you just bet props from the second you wake up in the morning till the second you have to start getting ready for crunch time is basically what I do. But you want to know how much do you put in your prop bets into thinking for your DFS lineups? And I treat them completely. They're two very different things to me. The prop bets, right? I do take some unders. I am generally an over better, but I'll find some unders I like. I'm not really considering those guys, of course, if I'm taking their unders. But I'm taking Bain over 4.5 assists, right? He's just hitting that all the time. They're still giving it to you at like minus 120, minus 125 on the sites, right? So I already like Bain. I'm taking his assists. I don't know. To me, it's two very separate things. If anything, like I like the double for Markkanen tonight. He's pretty much projected close to that anyway. Maybe if I'm not playing tournaments tonight, but maybe if I'm playing tournaments, if I was going to maybe play that, maybe I would play more Markkanen in a tournament, if that makes sense. But to me, Cappy, I keep the two things pretty separate in my mind. It's all coming out of like the same bankroll, but I don't know. DFS and prop betting to me are two very separate things, unless it's Tony Pollard over rush yards 73.5, which I don't understand why it's that low, TJ. And then he's in all my DFS lineups as well. That's something that's very easy for me to do.
That's it, right? Because it's price dependent, and it's price dependent on the prop stuff too. It depends what those prop sites have their projected stuff for, and so it always just kind of depends on where you're shopping. The one time I do think it kind of fits together is, say, if you didn't want to play Tony Pollard because he's going to be 50, 60, 70% owned this week, and you were playing 0% Tony Pollard. And so if you wanted to take however much your entry fees were on your DFS team and hedge with that bet on the Tony Pollard over, well, then if Tony Pollard gets under, you likely crushed on your DFS teams. Whereas if he gets over and your DFS team's crushed, at least you probably doubled your money with that prop kind of thing. That as a hedge is the way I would sometimes correlate them together, because if it goes one way, you're whatever, just breaking even. If it goes the other way, it's a DFS win, so it could still be pretty big. So that's kind of the only way I'd ever look at them hand in hand.
Yeah, and if any of you want to get more into sports betting or just want to be able to take advantage, again, our sponsor Fanduel has that great promotion. You can also check out Scores and Odds. It's the app we all use here at RotoGrinders. It is free if you just want to know, hey, where is that Tony Pollard line the best? Some books had it at 73, some had it over 80, right? So you don't want to bet the 80 when you have a 73 available. You can get all that for free on Scores and Odds. And then if you want to be spoon-fed picks by all the experts here at RotoGrinders, I have a couple other people as well that I believe are very, very smart people. You can get the picks and just sort of collect the cash. Just following whatever pops up on Scores and Odds is a good way to do it. I know nothing about college football. I think I'm having a good day over there. Don't really know too much about hockey. Hockey's been going good on Scores and Odds, just following the picks. So I'm lucky enough to be able to use it all day, every day. And it's working out pretty good, just following all that. So make sure all you guys check it out. Anything else, TJ, pop into your head, right? So your lineups you're not really making them until after the show here. Any final thoughts for anyone that may have followed your advice?
Stick to the news, waiting for this Indiana Pacer as well as Memphis Grizzly and Utah Jazz starting lineups. Let's get at least 2 more likes, 2 more people sliding their finger over and hitting the like button to get us over 40 before we get out of here. But other than that, no, I think we can let the people get to watching their games. And I got some lineups to build, and then it's my grandmother's 90th birthday party.
Oh, congratulations. My grandmother, she just turned, well, not, but she's 97. So celebrate and enjoy them while they get that old, because you never know when they won't be here anymore. So appreciate all that celebration that you're going to be doing with that, TJ. Other than that, I hope everyone out there wins all their props, does good in DFS tonight. There's a bunch of RotoGrinder shows tomorrow for football. Make sure to check all those out. For TJ, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we out ya.